The snow fell in delicate spirals outside the coffee shop window, each flake catching the glow of Christmas lights strung across Main Street. Marcus Wellington sat alone at a corner table, checking his phone for the fourth time in 10 minutes. His daughter's text glowed on the screen. "Good luck, Dad. You deserve this." He smiled weakly, straightening his tie, the navy one Emma had picked out that morning, insisting it made his eyes look less sad. At 42, Marcus had almost forgotten what hope felt like, but tonight he'd allowed himself a sliver of it. His blind date was already 20 minutes late. When she finally arrived, rushing through the door with shopping bags and an apologetic smile, Marcus stood immediately, extending his hand. "Hi, I'm Marcus. You must be running late. I know, I'm so sorry." She dropped into the chair across from him, barely making eye contact as she texted someone. "This season is absolutely insane. I had 3 other things tonight." 3 other things. Marcus nodded, willing himself to stay positive. They made awkward conversation for 15 minutes, him asking questions, her giving distracted answers while scrolling through her phone. When he mentioned Emma, explaining that his 8-year-old daughter was staying with his mother for the evening, her expression shifted. "You have a kid." She set down her phone, her face tightening. "That wasn't in your profile." "It was, actually." 3rd line down. "Look, Marcus." She gathered her bags, standing abruptly. "You seem like a nice guy, but I'm not looking for ready-made family complications. I thought this was just 2 adults, you know. Clean slate." She pulled on her coat. "I'm sure you understand. Merry Christmas." He watched her leave, the coffee shop door jingling mockingly as it closed behind her. Around him, couples leaned across tables, sharing desserts and laughter. A family in the corner booth sang "Jingle Bells" off-key while their toddler clapped. Marcus sat motionless, the rejection settling into the familiar hollow space in his chest where his ex-wife's abandonment still echoed 3 years later. Ready-made family complications. The word stung worse than he'd expected. He paid for his untouched coffee and stepped into the December cold. Snow crunched beneath his shoes as he walked aimlessly, trying to clear his head before going home to his mother's house. Emma would be asleep by now, but she'd ask about the date tomorrow with those hopeful green eyes that broke his heart daily. What would he tell her? Another lie about how dating took time. Another reassurance that someone would love them both eventually. His wandering brought him to Riverside Park, where the annual Christmas festival was winding down. Vendors packed up unsold ornaments and tinsel while a few families took final carousel rides. Marcus found himself drawn to a bench overlooking the frozen pond, where paper lanterns floated above the ice, their lights twinkling like earthbound stars. That's when he heard the crying, soft, muffled sobs coming from the other end of the bench. A woman sat hunched in the shadows, her shoulders shaking. She looked about his age, with dark hair escaping from beneath a knit cap, and she was clutching a phone to her chest like it contained her entire world. Marcus hesitated. Every instinct told him to leave her alone, to respect her privacy. But something in the sound of her grief, so raw and utterly broken, made him stay. "Are you okay?" he asked gently, keeping his distance. "I'm sorry, that's a stupid question. You're clearly not okay." She looked up, startled, quickly wiping her eyes. "I'm fine. Really. I just need a minute." Marcus nodded, preparing to leave, when she spoke again. "My daughter." Her voice cracked. "She needs a liver transplant. We found out 2 months ago, and tonight they called to say I'm not a match. Her father isn't either. He left us when she was diagnosed, said he couldn't handle it." Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. "She's 7 years old, and I can't save her." What kind of mother can't save her own child? The anguish in her words hit Marcus like a physical blow. He sat down, maintaining respectful space between them. "You're the kind of mother who's doing everything she possibly can. That's what makes you a good mother." She laughed bitterly. "Everything isn't enough. She needs a transplant within 6 months, maybe less. We're on every list, but her blood type is rare and..." She trailed off, staring at the frozen pond. "I keep thinking about all the things she'll never do. Never go to prom, never graduate, never fall in love. She still believes in Santa Claus. She still thinks good things happen to good people." Marcus felt his throat tighten. "What's her name?" "Lily." "Emma, my daughter, she's 8. When my wife left us, I thought the world had ended. I didn't know how I'd survive, how I'd be enough for her. He paused, choosing his words carefully. But kids have this way of teaching us that we're stronger than we think. Emma made me better just by needing me. I bet Lily's done the same for you. The woman turned to look at him properly for the first time. You're a single father. 3 years now. And it's the hardest, most terrifying, most beautiful thing I've ever done. He pulled out his phone, showing her his lock screen. Emma grinning gap-toothed at the camera, covered in finger paint. She's my everything. Something shifted in the woman's expression, a flicker of recognition, of shared understanding that transcended words. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, two broken people finding unexpected solace in the winter darkness. I'm Sarah, she finally said, extending a cold hand. Marcus. He shook it gently. They talked for over an hour, sharing stories of their daughters, their struggles, their small victories. Marcus learned that Lily loved astronomy and wanted to be an astronaut. Sarah learned that Emma wrote terrible poetry and insisted on wearing mismatched socks. They laughed, real, genuine laughter that felt like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. When Sarah checked her phone, gasping at the time, Marcus stood with her. Will you be okay getting home? She nodded, then hesitated, her expression shifting to something Marcus couldn't quite read. Can I ask you something completely insane? After tonight, insane sounds refreshing. Sarah took a deep breath. Lily's insurance won't cover experimental treatments, and there's a trial in Boston that might help, but it costs $200,000. I've sold everything I own. I've started 3 different fundraisers. I'm only at 30,000. Her words came faster now, desperate. But married couples, if I'm married, my coverage extends, and there's a clause, and I know this sounds absolutely crazy, but, she looked at him with raw, unfiltered hope. Can you be my husband? Marcus stared at her, certain he'd misheard. What? A marriage of convenience. On paper only. Just long enough to get Lily the treatment she needs. I wouldn't ask if there was any other way, but I've exhausted everything, and you're kind, and you understand what it means to put your child first, and I'm begging you, her voice broke. I'm begging you to help me save my daughter. The request was absurd, impossible. He barely knew this woman. And yet, as he stood there in the snow, Marcus thought about Emma asking why some people got Christmas miracles and others didn't. He thought about the date who'd called his daughter a complication. He thought about the man he wanted to be versus the man life had tried to make him. Yes, he heard himself say. Yes, I'll marry you. Sarah's sob was part laughter, part disbelief. Really? You'd do this? For a stranger? For a little girl who deserves to grow up? For a mother who'd do anything to save her? He smiled softly. And maybe because we're not really strangers. We're just two people who understand that love means showing up, even when it's hard. 3 weeks later, Marcus and Sarah stood before a courthouse judge, exchanging practical vows with their daughters as witnesses. Lily, pale but smiling, held Emma's hand throughout the ceremony. Within a month, Lily was in Boston beginning treatment. The prognosis was cautiously optimistic. But something unexpected happened in those weeks of hospital waiting rooms and shared dinners and 2 little girls becoming sisters. The marriage of convenience became inconveniently real. Marcus fell for Sarah's fierce devotion, her quiet strength. Sarah fell for Marcus's gentle patience, his unwavering kindness. On Christmas morning, exactly 1 year after that blind date rejection, Marcus woke to find Sarah and both girls decorating a tree in his living room. Emma and Lily, both healthy now, both laughing, hung ornaments while Sarah hummed carols off-key. She caught him watching and smiled. Merry Christmas, husband. And Marcus realized that rejection had been the greatest gift he'd ever received, because it had led him exactly where he needed to be.